Welcome to BookWorthy, where we talk about the heart behind the books your kids are reading. Today, we're talking with author Elizabeth Lizu, the author of the early chapter book, Caden's Adventures with Faith. Elizabeth has a strong belief that kids accepting themselves and learning to build their inner faith is critical. She's a lady of many talents and a mother of 2 daughters and hopes to continue to write books that can help children become happy, spiritually strong individuals. Welcome to BookWorthy, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Valerie. Hello, everyone. So nice to be here. It's a great privilege.
It is a joy to have you here, and you're coming all the way from Kuwait. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I love the internet and what God is able to do with technology and to connect people all over the world. It's kind of been an exciting part of this podcast journey.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's how the way technology connects across the world, right? So it's really beautiful.
It really is. Well, to start us off, Elizabeth, we need to start with our random question of the week. And this week's question is, are you an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm a mix. I guess I'm an ambivert. So there are moments where I can be really, captivating and capturing everything. Presence at sometimes I just like to be to myself, So yeah, it's a mix.
I've never heard ambivert before, so I kind of like that because I kind of technically define myself as an extrovert stuck inside of an extrovert. So I could turn it on when I need to, but there's definitely times I'm like, I need to be away from people for a minute.
Yes, exactly.
Too fun. Well, I'm glad we have that in common, Elizabeth. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, Caden's Adventures of Faith?
So, like how you mentioned before, it is an early chapter book, and it's focused mainly on children to build confidence, trust in God, to be patient, to be forgiving, and so on. So that's the first book. Caden's Adventures with Faith was my first book that I released 2 years back. And the acceptance of Caden was so good. I mean, everyone loved the boy, the character Caden. And there was a lot of feedback about what to do, about questions about how Caden would be with children of his age, with other genders, with older children, with younger children, and so on. So many questions poured in, which got with me to write the next book that just got released 2 weeks back. That is My Little Cousin, Caden's Faith Adventure. So I decided to write a series because I wanted to keep on writing about Caden for some times. Yes, I've got Caden's Adventures with Faith. That's the first book, and this is the second book. So I've got My Little Cousin. So I've introduced a little girl in that in the story. So it's his little cousin coming over, staying, and you know how cousins are. We get all excited, but then as the days, if they're staying with us, then it's not that smooth at times, right? There are ups and downs. So how does Caden accustom to all that? How he helps her to, be that shining light to guide her in faith, and in that process, he's also growing in faith. So that's the whole idea about it.
I love how you're continuing Caden's journey because it did put kids in lots of different situations, and they can sometimes forget what they learned in the last situation in a new situation, especially with family coming over and staying for a longer amount of time. It does start to act like siblings, and siblings all in the same space. We kind of rub each other wrong sometimes. So it's neat to see Caden learning through new experiences. Now, you have 2 daughters. What made you want Caden, your main character, to be a young boy?
There's no specific reason, but I've been asked this question so many times. Is like, did you want a boy? And the irony is, even though it wasn't planned, the irony is that my daughters' names are kind of rhyming with Caden. So it's Karen and Kristen. So they were like, oh, this is because this is the boy that didn't come into your family and so on. So there's been a lot of jokes around it. But yeah, there wasn't any particular reason. And I've always been close to little girls, and many of my articles and stories and all revolve around, little cute girls and cute angels and so on. So I thought I should make it a difference in that. And it was a little tough for me because, we know about the girls. I mean, I know about girls' temperaments and So because I have two daughters, I haven't had sons. So, and it was my sister's daughter. So they've all have daughters. It's more girls in the family. So it is a little difficult to understand, to write. I wasn't sure at times, am I defining that emotion right for would boys feel that way? So it was a journey. I would say it was a learning journey, but I really enjoyed it.
That's really fun because I'm a boy mom. I have 3 boys. And so it is funny to talk to other parents that don't have boys to be like, why is this so different? It's like, well, this is the way boys operate. This is the way girls operate. And it's funny. Usually when I introduce that I have 3 boys, I usually get the, whoa. It's like, that's a lot. Yes, they are a lot. And we love them a lot.
Yes.
Now, Caden has a kind of a routine in his family about praying before they leave the house. I really thought this was a precious tradition in Caden's fictional home. I was wondering if that's something that you have in your own home.
Yes, it is. It's a practice that I've been following from childhood, and I felt that is very important, and I've passed it on to my children as well. So it's like, say a quick prayer before you leave the house. Even if you're in a big hurry, at least put the sign of the cross. Say the Lord's Prayer as you leave. I feel that keeps us protected throughout the day.
I love that. I feel that prayer, I know you're over in Kuwait and we're over here I'm over here in the States. There is kind of prayer is a last resort rather than a first response attitude in the church sometimes. And so I really enjoyed that part of Caden's faith journey, that prayer was such a big part of his daily activity and his response to the world around him. And I think that's really important to communicate to kids, that we do have God's ear, right near us, that we have access to his ear and his heart in our everyday. And I love what you did with that.
Yes.
Now, what do you hope to communicate to kiddos with these books?
I've seen kids struggling with their emotions, with their faith, especially. Today's children, there's so much of chaos. There's so much of other voices. I would say noises, because of all the technology, which when we say technology as a blessing, we know there are disadvantages as well. So the addiction to it and so on. So they're so confused with all what they're hearing and seeing on social media, and probably not, and maybe parents are also busy to spend that time with the children to talk about faith, or they might have prayer moments, but how much do parents get time nowadays to sit with the children and have that quality conversation? We don't know. It might happen in some houses, some may not happen in some, right? So I teach Sunday school, and so I've seen the questions that come in from children, and there is a lot of faith lacking. There's the confidence lacking, or the trust lacking. The smallest of the incidents that happen in their life makes them feel so discouraged, and it's like they want to give up on life, and so many in that perspective. So I felt that I first thought I should write for teenagers because that's a group that I'm teaching. But then I felt I'm not ready yet to write about teenagers' emotions. And I wanted to start early. I felt that children, if they have that foundation of faith from a very early age, they will grow up to be stronger children, to face any trial in life without losing hope. Having that faith in them that whatever is happening, even though I don't like it, it is okay. It is still okay. I mean, because God is caring for you. It's the best is yet to come. That hope is so important. I mean, to move on in life with all the pressures that they have. So that's what got me to start writing for that. That's what the message of the book also, gives. So I didn't want, there's so many books, faith books, that talk in depth about how to build faith and so on. So I wanted it to connect to the children with their daily simple things that happen in their life. So it's not very complicated, things that they know, that they face in their daily life, and how can they build that faith in those experiences. So that's been my objective. And I think with the first book, it was, I got the feedback that I received was like, it is very simple, and we haven't, it's been a lot, not many books with talking about faith but not being so preachy. So we like the book and so on. So I hope I've been able to do the same justice in the second book as well. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
You've done a great job of stepping into kind of that early reader market where there is a lot of picture books and board books with faith messages, and there's a growing number of middle grade and YA books. But those early readers that 5, 6, 7 that are kind of just starting to really experience their world and really come across the challenges of faith in our world and culture, and to be faced with different people that believe things that are different, in their schools. And I think it's a really great place to step into that. Caden is a lot like most of the kids that are, in our school systems or preschool today. And just that all those questions, all those desires to do the right thing, but not really quite knowing how to do it. And I love how you've stepped into that space and are creating a series of books that are walking with Caden and walking through different experiences. Because I think for that age range, this what we really like. We like to follow a character and we get to know them well and experience life alongside them. So I think that's a really sweet series that you have started. Now, Elizabeth, when did your writing journey begin?
Well, my first book was a poetry book. So that is in 2021. I think it's the COVID era that brought in there. So this is the book, The Changing Mask, that I've written. And it's around 150 plus poems that's there. So I started writing poems. So that is what, to answer your question, so that I've been writing in my college days, from my college days, I've been writing poetry. But apart from that, I always loved writing, but I never had a thing that, I would end up being an author, but I've always loved the process of writing. So from my childhood, there's so many pictures. If you see, I always have a paper and pen in my hand. I was just writing. So I used to write articles for school magazines, for editorials, college, and so on. And that continued. The love for literature that continued. And I used to keep writing poetries. And so it's during COVID. My friends always used to tell me that, why don't you publish it? But then I was like, who reads published poetry nowadays? I used to mostly post on social media or something. But then that got into me, and when I was sitting at home, we were all locked down, right? So at that point, that's how the first book came into being. And when that was liked by all and people started asking, when are you writing next? What are you going to write next? So then I was like, now if I'm writing, it has to be for my Lord, because that's like a ministry for me. And I felt that's the best medium for me to spread his word, to the younger generation. And because I'm connecting a lot with children, I wanted to write for the children. Yeah. So officially to 2021, but yeah, I've been writing from a small age. Yeah.
I love how God kind of takes those gifts that he gives us, and whether we choose to start using them when we're young or choose to start using them when we're old, he's still going to lean into his will and make sure that his glory is given in the work that we do. So I love that you stepped into that. I think COVID all over the world kind of reset everybody's mind and heart a little bit, just to be like, you know what? This life is short and sweet, but living for God is definitely the next step in the journey. So I love, even now, 5, 6 years down the road, we could still kind of say the same. It's like, all right, we're living with purpose instead of just going through life. And so I love how God used your life to move forward in that. Now, what is your favorite book, Elizabeth?
That's a very tough question because,
It is.
There's so many. To shortlist on one is difficult, but then I would say if it is with fiction, there's a lot. I'm on Dan Brown, and I like more of mysteries, so into those lines. Earlier, there was a time when Harry Potter was one of my favorites, and then it moved to to Dan Brown, and now I read more of motivational books as well. So yeah, these are some of the books that I would say. To say a favorite would be difficult, but then when I talk
like
about
picking a favorite child, right? We don't do that.
I know. There's so many, but the flavors of writing is so different, and it's so, some are like so captivating. You can't actually compare one with the other. It's all good. Yeah. I like the, the 40 rules of love, that, the Khalil Gibran's, Rumi's poetry. All those are like very close to my heart. Yeah.
I would imagine a poet would have poetry close to their heart, wouldn't they? Too fun. Now, what's been the most impactful book in your life other than the Bible?
Yeah. Uh, Nothing can beat the Bible. Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. The other books, I would say, yeah, some of them would be like the Atomic Habits, The Power of Now, then the Seven Things of the Effective People. I'm a little lost with the words, but then these are some of the books that, that then, When Breath Becomes Air. These have really caught my heart, Then there's some spiritual books as well, getting closer to the awe and meditation in Knowing God by Timothy Feller. Yeah, so there are a lot of books actually, but yes.
It's amazing what books can do, that they can impact us, whether they intend to be motivational or spiritual or fiction. So it's the beauty of storytelling. Now, Elizabeth, what can we expect next from you?
So now, since I've decided on a series, so probably I've just released one, so I guess I'll take some time to settle down with that. And I have a vague idea of what the text will be. It will be another journey with Caden. I guess there will be one or two more books in that series before I think of something else. Yeah.
I will look forward to finding out what Caden's going to get into. He has such a sweet character that I look forward to seeing what else he comes up with. So where can people find out more about you and your books, Elizabeth?
Right. So my books are on Amazon. Yeah. And I'm more active on Instagram. So it's Lizu16_author. That's my Instagram page. I'm also active on Facebook, but more on Insta, like I said. You could search with my full name, Elizabeth Lizu. I would find there on Facebook. And yeah, so these are my active places. I'm there on TikTok and Threads and so on, but not so active. Insta is I would say, more there.
We'll make sure to have those links to Facebook and Instagram and the show notes so people can find you easily. Because, yeah, there's a lot of places to be, but there's usually one or two that we like the best.
Yes.
Too fun. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you.
It was a joy. And thank you for joining Elizabeth and me on this episode of the BookWorthy podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links we discussed, and let us know in the comments, are you an extrovert or an introvert or an ambivert? Help other parents discover BookWorthy by leaving your review and sharing it with friends. Happy reading!